Okay, hello. Welcome to another episode of 010 Podcasts. Dr. Josie is here along with my longtime friend, Rox Jablonski. I probably ask you this all the time. Do you prefer Rox? Do you prefer Roxanne?
I leave it up to the individual. Yeah,
Oh,
because I go by any of it. Yeah,
okay. Well, I call you Rox, so
perfect.
that's what we're gonna go with today.
Sure.
Um, and before we started, Rox mentioned that she got a new job. So I don't know anything about it. And so I'm excited to hear about it. So let's just jump in. And why don't you tell us, um, you're an RN, that's
hmm
what you went to school for. But why don't you tell us what led you to your job, your new job? Tell us about it.
Sure. So I've been a nurse for, I think, 22 years, something like that. Started out in the hospital, did a little clinic work, and then I've been with a healthcare company for almost 15 years. And that entered into my life at a really good time because it allowed me to be home with my girls, take them to school, pick them up to school or from school, get them to their activities, and didn't have to ask for time off from work. And just I was able to be present for them. And about a year ago, I started to get really antsy at this behind the desk job that I have. Um, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, where's this leading? What am I supposed to do with my life? I just turned 50 in August, but I knew that I couldn't keep doing what I've been doing. I miss personal connection. That's one of the greatest aspects of being a nurse is that personal connection. So I just kept praying on it. And then I kept having all these crazy dreams about going back to work at the hospital in the recovery room. That has been my favorite role so far. I was there for 7 years. And I just kept thinking, well, I can't go back to the hospital because that's just not the right environment that I want to be in. So, like 3 weeks ago, a friend of mine posted a position at an ambulatory surgery center here in town for a pre-op and PACU nurse, and it just hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I have to apply to this. Um, so I applied and I interviewed, and they offered me the position, and I did all the paperwork yesterday. And so I start the middle of November. So I realized that I've manifested this, even though I didn't think I did, right? Like just asking for something different, asking to have that human connection again, asking for something that brings more joy into my life and more fulfillment. So I'm nerve anxious, as a good friend of mine calls it. So I'm nervous, I'm anxious about it, I'm excited because I haven't been in a clinical setting in 15 years. And so that requires me to bring back a skill set that I have not used in a long time. But I know that this is where I need to be going because of everything that's led up to it.
Okay, say again where it is that you're going to be working, or I
It's
mean,
an
what?
Yeah, it's a standalone surgery center. They do outpatient
Oh,
surgeries, like minor, some major procedures, but yeah.
So you'll
okay,
be
because
working
you
um,
used a word that I didn't understand. What did
Am-
you say?
Ambulatory surgery center. So ambulatory
Oh,
just meaning patients come
yes.
and go that same day
Okay.
surgery. Yeah.
I know I heard ambulatory, but I thought I heard something else too. So, okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Josie, what did you have a question?
um oh, yeah, I did. I was like, what was it? So is that like so you'd be helping prep and like just knowing your personality just a bit. Rox was at our one of our retreats a year ago. And
hmm
so I feel like you're very like making sure everyone's really comfortable. Like you make people feel good, right? Like or like you're open in there in a great way. Is that what you're helping people kind of move through like to get ready for surgery? Any
Yes, it'll be the pre-op aspect and the post-op.
Yeah,
Yeah. So before and after their procedure. Yeah.
such a great role for you. That sounds really
I'm excited. I'm excited about it, but it's nerve-wracking as a 50-year-old woman to think about starting something new. So I think I just want to encourage women in particular, because I feel like we can kind of get stuck doing what we're doing because we think that's what we have to do. But if we really aren't fulfilled in our heart, that we really need to search and seek out something that is going to fulfill us. So we don't get to like that retirement age and think, oh gosh, I should have done something different.
Right. And
Yeah.
sometimes, like you said, you didn't know what the next step was going to be, but you kind of let it fall in your lap, fall into your lap, or, like you
Well,
allowed
and I'll
it.
tell you what, there's been, so for those that don't know, I had a yoga studio for 5 years. That was a really trying time of my life. I still don't understand all of it, but that's okay. And then I am also a board certified nurse coach. I quit doing that back in March because I was diagnosed with long COVID and I was just really not feeling well. But I know that the studio and the nurse coaching, like, all has led me to where I'm going. Like, I just needed to explore and navigate and trust and release control, because every time I've tried to control something, it has backfired on me. And this time I just let go and let God have it. And there's just like, it literally fell in my lap. And I thought, well, what a testament to not trying to control everything all the time. Right.
Right.
I just saw
Yeah.
a video this morning that was talking about control and how really the minute you do let go of control is um, when life typically then tends to fall right in place.
Yeah.
So I love that you brought that up. Um, is that something you've struggled with outside of professional life too, or um,
Hmm.
yeah?
Yeah, for sure. But I, I've learned so much the last like 5, 6 years of my life over everything that I've been through. And so I feel like I'm in a really good place where I am letting life flow, and I'm trying to teach that like to my girls and even my husband. They're not quite there, right? So I hope that my struggles and my story can be a good example of just letting life happen.
Well, because with with control, we try to control what other people learn too, right?
Yeah, I
We
know.
try to force what we learn onto other people, which is
Yeah.
control.
Yep.
But we were just visiting with Amanda Almaris, who was also at the retreat that you
Mm,
were at, and she brought
yeah.
up the flow. You know how we talked about force versus flow at that retreat, and
Yes.
how it's constantly come up since then for her. Josie and I talk about it all the time. So it's interesting that you use the word flow also,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because isn't force just maybe another word for control also?
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah.
My brain is going a bit because I feel like the flow thing is it's always something that I play with. Like in it like I understand that it works, but knowing when to push a little bit or how to because you do like when to throw the application out there and with no
Yes.
expectation is what I feel like flow is. You still do it, but you're not like tied to what the result could potentially be. And one thing that I'm noticing just in my life right now is the like throwing this stuff out there and not not putting an expectation of what's going to come back for us. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
it's hard to like
Yeah.
you've started multiple businesses, you said like different businesses and things
Mm-hmm.
like or even like a relationship or anything kind of new. Like how much do you put into it and just and trust that it was the right amount?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That one's hard for me.
My marriage is a perfect example of letting go, because I had just left a long-term relationship and I was determined to not have a relationship for a long time. And lo and behold, it was like 6 weeks after that last relationship ended, and I met my now husband because I wasn't looking, right? Like I just like let it go and I was just enjoying life. And then he just landed in front of me. So just two really good examples, my marriage and now this new job, where I just let it go and I wasn't distracted about trying to force it into a certain direction.
Right.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice.
Isn't it freeing? And I'm sure I've said this before, but it's so freeing to let go of some of that, let go of the control,
Mhm.
not force things. It just feels so, I mean, free is the word that I always um, think of.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Free
like
and freedom.
freedom, right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel that right now, or are you
Mhm.
not quite in that stage yet because you haven't started your job yet? You're not quite sure what it's going to look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm in that in between.
Hmm.
Yeah. But when you guys were talking about the force, I had to force myself past the fear of that unknown.
Hmm.
So I do agree with letting things flow, but sometimes I do have to push myself past some things because
Is it
else
your
you,
internal voice that tells you, like, what told you to do it? Like, because I'm
Mhm.
guessing there have probably been other positions that you've seen over the years come up, and maybe you had a thought in your head. So what made this one different, or was it? Um,
So I've been applying over the last year for all these other online jobs, stay-at-home jobs, those types of things. And back in June, I was at a different retreat and I was talking about this struggle. And my girlfriend looked me dead in the eye and she said, "You need to look in a different direction." And I thought, what does that mean? Right. And I kept getting interviews or no interviews. I just kept hitting roadblocks with all of these online work from home jobs. And it finally became pretty clear to me that I needed to get away from my desk and get back out into the world again. Yeah. So there was that inner knowing, that intuition that led me to that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's good for you for like accepting the pivot and the advice, like trying to reflect on it a little bit. Because I think now that I'm working behind a desk most of the time, not all the time, but quite a bit of the time, I can totally see how you can kind of get into your own world of what needs your own system here and then forget that
Hmm.
you're part of a system like out there. I get that.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, interesting.
so when you
It's,
said you we had visited before we started,
mm,
and you said, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit, bringing up your yoga studio, but you know, tell us about that whole journey too, and maybe
mm,
something, if you want to, if you'd like to
hmm.
talk about it. And,
I probably do need to
when,
talk about it.
right. And I watched it happen a little bit from the outside looking
Hmm.
in. But, tell us about that. I think people have this misconception, and I just was listening to some of our old episodes of our podcast,
Hmm.
and it was Josie and I brought it up at one point. I think people think that owning a business I think people look at it like, well, I could start a restaurant. I could own a yoga studio. I could own a spa.
Hmm.
I think people just look at it like it's fun and it's easy and, I could do that. It's not easy, right?
No, it's
So
not.
tell us about your journey there and maybe some
Yeah,
things you learned or, um,
sure.
yeah.
So I never imagined that I would own a yoga studio, but was, I'll never forget the moment standing in my kitchen and I just, like, it was like this huge download. Like, it just heard, "Open a yoga studio." And I was like, "Are you talking to me? Like, oh, are you kidding me?" But it felt so strong, like I had to do it. And I fast tracked it. I think I got the idea in March of 2018. And by November 1st, I had this business up and running, brick and mortar. I had, a team of, I think, probably 7 or 8 teachers at the time. And I signed up quickly to become a certified yoga teacher because I knew as a business owner of that type that I would have to be teaching classes too, first of all, because I was free labor, you know, and that
Mhm.
helped profit and all of that. So yeah, it was a very busy time. Got my certification. I started out fast and strong. I was the only studio like that at the time. There's another smaller yoga studio in town, but this was different because I was incorporating some different aspects of fitness with the yoga. And then all of a sudden I hear about, and it was going great, but then like 2, 3 months into it, I hear about all these other places opening. And I thought, what am I doing? What did I get myself into? And I think now there's all this competition that's popping up. And I was really, really motivated, just did all kinds of contests and engagement things to get new people in, kept track of their classes, celebrated their wins, made lots of really good connections, and everything was like falling into place. Good, good, good. So November 1st of 2018, and then circling into COVID. And that was the beginning of the crumble of things, I think. Um, I think it's important to know this part of my story. So 2 weeks before the government shutdown, I lost a very dear cousin. She was like a sister to me. So that was a really big challenge for me to try to navigate through. I'm still working full time now at this point, right? Running a business, managing staff. I lose this family member. The government shutdown happens. 3 days later, my grandfather died. Okay, so now I've got additional stress on top of all the other stress. I'm like, okay, I can get through this. This is fine. We're all in this. We're all having to make these changes. So things are going along, and I'm still motivated with the business, and, classes are doing well, and I'm enjoying teaching. And then my dad got really sick and he died Labor Day weekend. So now I've lost 3 family members. My business has shut down, and I slowly began to spiral into what I can now say was a pretty deep depression. And that severely impacted my business because I could not put forth the physical and mental energy that was required for it, um, as much as I tried. Energetically, when we speak of things like that, we can try and fake it, but people almost kind of know differently, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Even if you don't say it, they can see it, they can sense it,
They can feel it.
they can feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it started to physically manifest in me. I was on the verge of an autoimmune disorder. I had so many physical problems happening at the time. And then finally, March of 2021, a good friend of mine said, I think you need to spend some time alone at my cabin and basically get your head screwed on straight, right? Like take some time to pray, to meditate, to sit with yourself, to figure out the next direction. So I entrusted a couple of my staff at the studio that I did have a fabulous staff of teachers who really I could rely on. So I took off like 5 days and I got set up with a grief counselor. And that was like a huge turning point in my life to recognize all of the grief that I was experiencing from all of the loss. And and I hired a business coach to help me with my business. And I really did try for those next 2.5 years to give it a go. But I was also trying to steer things. And now I can look back and say, in a direction of where I thought other people wanted me to take it. And I now know that I should have just done it the way I wanted to do it. Yeah. So I think there's just a variety of things that contributed to me closing the studio. I hung on as long as I had to. And I made some incredible connections along the way. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about not being a people pleaser and putting myself first while still being able to take care of those students, right? And, provide them a safe space to come to and be an ear for them when they came in, but also like keeping that business separation between things and not getting too personal, right? Yeah, and then in the mix of that, when I knew that I was going to be closing the studio probably within a year, I decided to start my nurse coaching. So I did like 7 months of education while I'm running a business and a family and working full time. And I look back and I'm like, you were a crazy woman, right? Um, but I'm grateful for the opportunities that all of that has given me. It's made me incredibly resilient. Um, it's pushed me to limits that I never even imagined I was going to have. And I can look back now and say, wow, you really overcame so much. And I'll be very honest with you, I struggled with my relationship with God so much having that business. Because when things were good, I'm like, yeah, thanks, God, this is great. And then when things were not great, I was like, what do you want from me? What do I need to learn from this? What direction am I supposed to go? And I just kept trying to control the narrative and it didn't work. I should have just given it all over to him and I didn't. So
Mhm.
yeah. But there's stories that come up now about relationships that came out of that business. Like there's two women in particular who didn't know each other, but they met in one of my classes. Their husbands are in the same National Guard group. They're best friends now. They're in their own wedding, each other's weddings. They're having babies at the same time. And so there's like things like that where I know there was like a bigger purpose than I could have ever imagined.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is hard as a business owner, when you're going through like the ups and the downs um and I like to understand that the downs aren't really downs. Are. They just are, like you
Mm,
keep doing your thing according to, whoever you're listening to, but it is hard to not get into, we go to business meetings and these things are like, okay, this is my ROI. This isn't like they're throwing all these numbers around and you're like thinking, oh crap, like, is that what my numbers should be looking like? Am I not doing enough? Am I not, you know, performing the way that we're supposed to be performing according to what a good business looks like? And I just feel like I keep surrounding myself with ladies like you guys we think differently on what a business is going to look like
mhm,
for us, not, like we do business for for us, not the business does us, right? Like it's
mm.
saying that backwards, but or not backwards, but you know what I'm trying to say, right? I
I do.
is the line. Why can't I say the line?
Yeah.
The business works for us, not we work for the business.
Mhm.
That kind of
Yeah,
feeling, right?
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. How do you now find yourself like you learned some lessons and staying true to that? Like, what are some practices you do maybe daily or, you know, that can help us stay grounded in listening and trusting?
Mhm. Mhm. So during that whole process, I started meditating and praying every morning before I got out of bed, just to set my mind in a good place before I went out into the world, right? And I do the same thing when I go to bed. A lot of it has been that practice of gratitude because we can really get overwhelmed and overshadowed by the bad stuff that's happening. And so I really try to focus on all of the good things that are happening every day. And my life's in a really great place. I really have no complaints right now. so, um, but just to keep that attitude of gratitude and then to find time for myself. I neglected my own self care for a really long time. And I know it's kind of a buzzword, but it's just like, it's so important, whether it's, getting up and going to the gym or going for a walk or having your cup of coffee by yourself or going out with girlfriends, whatever it is, just little things like that that are so important for my mental health because it can be really isolating when we're going through challenges and we feel like we don't have a support system. So we have to let people know those struggles that we are going through so that they can be there to help us.
Yeah, it's hard to let people know when things are hard, you know.
Mhm.
It's a tough, there's a very, it's a small circle. I'll just say that.
Ye-
Small circle
well,
to hear that.
yes, that's a great point, Josie, is that you do figure out pretty quickly who your true friends are and who you can depend on,
Hmm.
right? And who's not just there superficially that wants something out of you, that is really truly there to be um, a support person for you.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have I like the thing that keeps going through my head is like you have to have a thick skin, right?
Mm,
When you go through things like that, because yeah, people do judge and you have to not care that they're judging, right? And people do have everyone has thoughts on what you're doing. They're not always thoughts that are conducive to a positive outcome. And so um, you have to either just not care and block it out, um, or keep your circle real small.
mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really easy to get distracted by what other people are doing and compare yourself to them. So that is a big lesson that I've taken out of all of that is like stay in your lane,
Yeah.
do what speaks clearly and loudly to myself. And they're doing what they need to do for them, but I need to do what I need to do for me.
And
I can,
don't you think, I would always have people ask, like, who's your competitor? And to me, there's no one that competes with me. Like, I don't compete with anybody and I don't
Hmm.
know that everyone feels that way, but I think everyone has something different. So yes, how many yoga studios were in town at any given point? Probably multiple, many,
Hmm.
but like they were all very different, right?
Right.
So to me, the Illuminate didn't have to compete with anybody.
Hmm.
But I get why it's hard to keep that thought process.
Hmm.
It's hard um, to stay true to, right, like you said, like block out everybody else and just do what you wanted to do. It's difficult.
Yeah.
well, and
I,
yoga is super trendy. You
yeah.
know what I mean? It is like you've got
Yeah.
the, and there's a lot of different people doing different yogas, different kinds, and
Hmm.
but it's Instagram ready. It's social media, like it is. It's like there's this whole nother piece to it, which has nothing to do with what they're getting out of your studio, really.
Hmm.
Um, the pretty pose and the with the pretty flowers and all the things on the, on the, I can just see, like I can see it getting really easy to be drawn to some of the different trends that people are trying to do to get people in their studios. And then yeah, I don't know. It would be hard. I think that would be one of the toughest businesses to own, honestly, is a yoga studio. The more I think about it, because I finally got my training, so um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and I'm like when I'm talking to other people who are opening studios, like kudos to you for doing that. Like that is a really really hard thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of funds and there's a lot of real estate that needs to be used all the time. Pay for
Hmm.
your space. Like that's what you're that's why that they're, why things it's why I feel that people are having a really hard time with their studios. Is like it's hard to afford the real estate.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
On that note, Josie, just, kudos to you. I'm personally, again, as a longtime friend, I'm proud of you for doing what you did. Again,
Mm,
it's not for the weak, it's not for the faint of heart.
right.
And so I think I say kudos to you. And if you learned something, if you took some great things away from it, that's the whole point. The point isn't
Hmm.
running a successful business, and it was a success. It was in my eyes, it was a success. I hope you feel the same way. But I mean, I'm proud of you for doing that. Because yeah, it's not easy. So coming out on the other side of it,
Hmm.
talk about you said you're no longer coaching? You're no longer?
I'm not coaching. No.
And you're comfortable with that decision too? Like that was
Hmm.
good,
Hmm.
perfect.
Hmm.
So it just leaves you open to accept a new position and all the
Yeah.
exciting things. So let's talk about then your personal life a little bit and
Hmm.
tell us about your family.
Yeah. So we just celebrated our 21st wedding anniversary last
Oh,
month. Yeah. So that's pretty special. I don't take that for
you have a great
granted.
husband. You have a pretty
Yeah,
great
he's
husband.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have two girls. Our oldest is 27. She's grown and married and has a really good career. Her husband is a farmer rancher, so she's supporting him, through all the things that entails as the wife of a farmer rancher. And then our youngest is 18. She's a senior in high school, so we will be empty nesters. Um, well, by September next year. So that's something that I think we've been prepping for some time. Because you hear about couples that lose that connection and they just get lost in their children's lives. So Colin and I have really tried to find things that the two of us enjoy doing together. Outside of even just like watching TV shows, right? Because that's just kind of mindless and you're there, but you're not there. So we found different activities and interests that we can come together on so that we have something to do when we're not like going to our kids' swim meets all the time, right? Yeah, I think that's a
What do
really
you found?
important.
What's
So we love to kayak and hike. We spend a lot of time in the kitchen together cooking, and yeah, those are the main. He's a big hunter. I've never been into that, but I support him in that. Yeah, so those hunting and fishing are his things, but yeah, we enjoy the kayaking and the hiking together. We take a lot of walks together. Yeah.
So why don't you tell Josie and I, us single women, why don't you
Uh-huh.
tell us? Well, I mean, Josie is
yeah,
technically single.
sorry.
Um, so tell us give us one piece. I love this question. I just love this question. 21 years of marriage. What's one piece of advice you would give to um, someone to ensure longevity in their relationship?
Yes. It's probably the most difficult one, but communication,
Yeah.
because it's so easy. Like even just a few days ago, we were kind of grumbling with each other. And I sat down and I looked at him and I said, hey, we need to hit the reset button and we need to start over. And I started with an apology for something that I had done, and he apologized for something he had done. And it's just so important to keep that line of communication open, because if you don't, it's like it bottles up. And you know what that analogy of the pressure cooker people talk about, it's a real thing. And you end up, I've seen people end up hating each other because they don't talk about things. Yeah. And from the very beginning, we've had a rule: never go to bed angry. Yeah, always kiss each other goodnight, no matter what. I don't care how mad you are at me. You just give me a kiss on the cheek, and I know it's gonna be okay in the morning. But yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
very nice. We learned so much from you today, Rox. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks for having me.
Yes.
I want to be a testimony to especially women who maybe are currently struggling or have struggled, or maybe they don't even know of some struggles that are coming up. I just want to instill some hope and some faith in them that it does get better, right? Like just surround yourself with people who truly care for you and love you. Take care of yourself, and you will get over that huge mountain and things will plateau. You get in the deepest, darkest depths of it and it feels like you're never going to get out of it, but you do get out of it eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Okay. I think that's, oh, if anyone wants to get a hold of you for anything or connect with you in any way, do you have any platforms do you use mainly or?
Yeah, I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I
Okay.
think I'm Rox Jabo, maybe. I don't even know. On Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yes.
All right.
Thanks so much, Rox. Thank you. It was
Thanks,
just
ladies.
lovely visiting with you.
Good to see you both.
Yes.
Have a
Okay.
good weekend.
Yep.
You too.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.